Hi, welcome to the Pursuit of the Truth. Sorry, there was a bit I missed in the last video that I was doing. Um, I sort of did skirt upon a little bit to do with Ukraine and the Russian war, which is now a month in, and that was how it makes you pick a side. Yeah, that's often the way to keep us divided, keep us in this box by presenting us two choices: Labour, Conservative, Republican. What's the other one? I can't remember. You know, whatever. You know, Brexit, no Brexit, war, anti-war. You know, that kind of thing, polarizing it, and you know, like with Russia, Ukraine, you pick Ukraine because of Russia being the aggressor. That's an obvious choice. Obviously, the media has very been guiding us into teaching us about this. So maybe it's not such a free decision as we might think, because I was seeing on the news today they were mentioned that cluster bombs, which apparently are outlawed against international law, are being used by both sides. Sky News said that. Previously, they'd only reported on Russia using it and condemning that. So maybe the bias is starting to lift now, or maybe they feel that they can't hide it completely, but they're not going to come down so hard. But that's what I mean, is that it's just trying to get you on one side and someone else on one side, so that you forget that no one should want war. We should try every endeavour to stop war, no matter what, at all costs, because at the end of the day we're killing each other, our own fellow brothers and sisters, over ideologies that are man-made and historic and have no place in the modern world, i.e. the occupation of a bit of land. We should all be able to share this planet that we found ourselves upon. But yeah, that was the bit I missed last time, is that how it was important for the media and important for governments and etc., especially when they want you to be on one side than the other. But it was interesting when I was hearing people talk about the Ukrainian war, how bad it was. You know, everyone seems to be very anti-war now, but scroll back 10 years ago when Iraq and Afghanistan, the illegal wars there, the oppression of the Iraqi and Afghanistan people on flimsy excuses like weapons of mass destruction were never found, or finding harbouring Osama bin Laden, a friend of George W. Bush previously. So, you know, that's even more tenuous than Russia's claim on Ukraine because of NATO, etc. But all these people, you know, I know a million people did protest against the war. No one listened to them. So it's interesting that the West, you know, they didn't listen when everyone said stop killing innocent Iraqi and Afghanistan people. Lots of civilians have been killed. They were killed then. They're always killed in war. But these same people now, because it's Ukraine, suddenly they're saying, oh, this shouldn't be happening. But it's interesting because I was checking, I wanted to know then, and I was thinking, oh, what about Ukraine? Where were they in Iraq and Afghanistan? Did they send troops to occupy Iraq and Afghanistan's land because the West wanted that to happen? Because they told you through the media, Tony Blair and George W. Bush lying about the 45-minute weapons and lying to you about weapons of mass destruction, or false intelligence, whatever you want to call it. However, they got around that by blaming it on intelligence breakdown or whatever, but still it was an excuse given to justify an unjust war. And yet millions of people followed it and went to fight for it, thinking that was glorified, same as with Vietnam and etc. But yeah, Ukraine, they did send troops in Iraq and Afghanistan. So it's interesting how, and this is like with humans in general, that when it's not happening to you, you don't mind it happening to someone else. You know, so Ukraine, obviously they don't want to be taken over now, and they're saying how bad it is what Russia's doing. Yet Ukraine helped America and the West to oppress and invade the sovereign country of Iraq and Afghanistan. No matter whether they believe the Taliban should be taken out, which is regime change, was against international law, or Saddam Hussein taken out, which is against international law because it's regime change. But still they did it. Still, they sent troops. So, well, I'm not trying to negate what's going on now, but what I'm just trying to say is how it's funny how we as human beings, when it's happening to someone else, we don't cry about it, but when it happens to us, we do. And that's a real failing of humanity, because then it shows you that, well, what is the important thing here? Do you really care about the justice of humans? Do you really care about, oppression and anti-war? Or is it just because it's happening to you and that's why you don't want it to happen? And suddenly, you have all these sentiments of anti-war and anti-oppression and etc. But yet you sent your troops to help with the murder of other human beings. That's the problem. Any country that's involved in war, which the West and Russia and etc. Are involved in lots of these wars historically, well, how do you justify that? Killing other human beings, no matter for what reason, especially when there's no real danger, like the danger of Iraq and Afghanistan to America and the West was negligible. I mean, there was no real threat for the amount of people that ended up dying and the mess that it's put in those countries. But yeah, that was what I wanted to talk about, those things. I think there was a few other things, but I can't remember them now. But it's just a shame that humanity can't progress past its caveman instinct to own everything that it finds itself, not realizing that, wait a minute, we can share. What's wrong with sharing everything? And actually, I mean, and I've said this in previous things, the system is the problem, the way that we live, this historic way that we've picked up of the way we see things and the way we do things, what restricts humanity, money, and our concept of nationality and humanity is very narrow, whereas it should be broad. But yeah, I don't want to make another video about that again. But yeah, I just thought about those points. I don't know what your views are, what you think. Maybe, Ukraine, they learn, isn't it? They learn. They went and helped America. But the thing is, it's because it's America, because it's the West, and they're seen as the good guys, and it's acceptable, and that's why people are against Russia, because of the sentiment, the bias that they've been taught through media and etc. and politicians who do the same things, and governments do the same things, but they highlight the faults of others. And of course, then it makes you feel that, well, they're so bad doing that, but you forget that your country did the same thing, but because they gave you a reason, you believed that reason, and then it justified it for you, that it was a just war to go and kill those innocent mothers, women, children, fathers, brothers, sisters, uncles, your fellow human beings. So yeah, we really shouldn't be picking a side. Really, we should be saying, no, that this war needs to finish. But I guess the problem is that's ideal, and the thing is, in the real world, it doesn't work, because human beings are stubborn, they're prideful, they're greedy, they're selfish. And that's the problem. We need to unteach that. We need to be able to not teach those things to kids, so that they don't get into that mindset. But the problem is, why we live in this system of this is mine, this is yours, is always going to be like that, because that division is created, and that creates that mindset, and it carries it on. And I guess that's thousands of years of teaching. How do you undo that? But if it doesn't start, we're always going to be in this the same circle of killing each other over the place that we are just caretakers for a few years. Take care, take it the best, and peace.